Hi everyone, Pierrick from P2 Design here. In this video we will be working on finishing our case shader, adding the decals on the plastic. Let's get started. Back from where we left in the previous video, I will go into the image editor and open the Game Boy mask. We will use this texture to add the printed element onto our first plastic material. To do so, we will need to generate UVs. And we will use the same method as before. I will open the 3D view, go in front orthographic view, press tab to enter edit mode, select everything but the screen we have previously unwrapped. To isolate it, I will unselect everything, select its material and press the select button. Then I will hide it pressing the H button, then select everything, U, project from view. Now opening the UV image editor, I will see my UVs and I will homogeneously scale them so that they fit the vertical boundaries of the UV space. Now to properly tweak the proportion of our UVs, we need to see the picture we'll be projecting onto our model. In the node editor, I will select my plastic main material and I will add a texture, image texture, and search in the library for our current picture. By default, it will be using the UV coordinates, so if I Ctrl+Shift click, I can see it in my 3D view. Now I can scale and move my UV island so that it visually fits the reference. Now that our mask is set up, we will use it to set a new color for the printing and also a bit of bump. I've added a mix color and I will set the color of the print on the first color slot. Since we will use the mask as a factor, the black printed part will turn to purple. The second color is the same as the one we've used. The second color is the same as the one we've used on our base material. Since we have projected our wall model when we have unwrapped it, we should see on the backside of it also the printed element, because both the front case and the back case were projected. So what we can do in the 3D view is to select with L the back case, and the UV image editor, we will just move its UVs in a corner. I will scale them down and move them onto a pure white part of the texture. I will now reorganize my nodes so that it looks cleaner and reposition my 3D view so that we can focus onto the printed text. The first thing I'd like to change is the roughness of the printing. When using silk printing onto a rough surface, the ink will generally fill the little gap and you will have a smooth surface. I have duplicated the mix color node. I will use again our mask as a factor and I will use it to mix our noise texture with a darker color. The darker the color is, the less rough is the surface, so the cleaner will be the reflections. So I've used a pure black color to show you what's happening. And now when I plug this into the roughness, we can see that our text is reflecting the environment crystal clear. So I will slightly increase the value of the roughness so that it's not that clean and it looks a bit more realistic. Finally, we will add a bit of bumpiness to our printed ink. So I will duplicate the reroute and we want to plug something into the normals. I will add a vector bump and we will plug our mask into the 8 input. When using a bump node, dark value will create creases on the surface while white value will create bumpiness. If I plug in my noise texture, you can see that the surface normals are no longer flat but very bumpy. And we can see that the light is reacting to it and we have some kind of bumpiness to the surface. So if I use here my mask, we can feel like the ink is getting some thickness. So I will just invert its influence because since it's black, it's digging the surface and we want it to bump onto the surface. And I've drastically decreased the strength and the distance to make it more subtle. And now we are finally done with this plastic case shader. So we have a nice rough surface with printed element with a bit of bumpiness and a different color and roughness. Now we can work on the frame around the screen. So I switch the material, I will load the second mask, and we will repeat the previous process, meaning that we will load this picture, we will Ctrl-Shift click it, and then we will re-unwrap the front frame so that it fits the texture. What I did in this case, so that you can rework a bit the mechanism of mixing everything, is that I've been using a PNG texture with color and an alpha channel. So we'll be mixing it a bit differently. But for the time being, since it doesn't perfectly fit the UVs, what I will do is select my mesh, go back into edit mode, open the UV image editor, and I will just select in the 3D view the screen frame. And now with my texture open, I will move it so that it does fit visually what I have in the reference. From there, I will plug the color output of the texture into the second color input. I will copy and paste our base color, and we will use the alpha of the texture as a factor. As you can see, the alpha is like a mask because it's black and white. So if I use it as a factor, it will mix our base color with our texture color. We can now use this output as the base color of our principal BSDF, and we will rebuild what we have done just before. But since I'm a lazy boy, instead of rebuilding the whole node setup, I will just go on the first material, select all the nodes but the principal BSDF, and I will copy and paste them into my current material. From there, I will just properly plug in my different information. So I will replug the color channel into the previous one and use the alpha as a factor. I will reset my gray color and then plug in my current color, replug the color into the principal BSDF, and instead of using the color output, we'll use the alpha output as a factor for both the roughness and the bump. But since the alpha is inverted compared to our previous texture, I will just uncheck the invert option here. From there, your latest plastic shader should be done. So what I will do now is I will speed up the end of this video, because as you may remember in the modeling chapter, I've told you that I've left too much space between the different elements of the case. So what I will do here is I will slightly modify the geometry by getting rid of the thickness and then re-expanding the borders and re-extruding everything at the bevel, etc. for the screen frame and also the screen transparent cover. You can finally enjoy contemplating your finished shaded model. In the next video we will start rigging this little guy. In the meantime, if you like my content, please leave a thumb up. This is the best way you can support me. And subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you in the next video.